All right, so I'm really bad at getting up in front of crowds and talking, so just know that. I want to thank everyone for coming out today, and I hope you all had a really good day of golf. My name is Lindsay Runkle. I'm a T4 paraplegic, and I was injured almost a year ago. I really, like I said, want to thank you all for your dedication and support, because you guys are going to be one of the many reasons that I do walk again. So thank you for that. So it's hard for me to think that my accident happened almost a year ago, but they say that time flies when you're having fun, and I really haven't stopped since I lost control of my body below my waist. If you had all met me a year ago, you probably would have described me as adventurous, passionate, driven, fiercely determined, and some of you probably would have said I'm kind of crazy. I really love a good adrenaline rush, and my rush came from mountain biking, and more recently, downhill mountain biking. If you asked my parents what downhill mountain biking was, they'd probably describe something like a scene out of Mission Impossible where there's bombs and you would think it was terrifying. They thought I was nuts for loving it, and they weren't necessarily wrong. But it was just my passion. So, you know, I have always been a kid at heart, and I always will be. And with that comes an invincibility complex. So I've always pushed my limits, and I always thought that, you know, I could try something, and if I fell, I could brush the dirt off, get back up, and, you know, I'd be fine. And so with that, you know, I always had this mantra of what's the worst that could happen? And that brings me to the worst that could happen. One of the things that I was pushing myself towards was drops on my bike. So drops in mountain biking are raised features, like wooden or natural features, that you pretty much ride your bike off of in hopes of landing with two wheels on the ground. There was one particular drop that I had been eyeing all summer, and I really wanted to do it. I had a huge fear of drops because when I first started riding, I attempted one and I broke my collarbone, and that's one of the many reasons that my parents hated me riding. So this particular drop was about 10 feet tall and about 5 feet out. And I had spent the whole summer of 2014 working my way up from 2-foot drops to 8-foot drops. So this one really wasn't much bigger than, you know, what I had already done. I mean, the only difference was that the run-in was really technical, and, you know, the rocks and roots and all that stuff could easily grab my speed and cause a detrimental outcome. But, I mean, I had an awesome day of riding the day that I attempted it. You know, everything seemed right. My friends were there. So I knew it was time to go. So my accident happened on October 5th, 2014. Like I said, the day had been great. I had one of my friends riding with me all day. He said that my form looked great, that, you know, my riding looked awesome, and he told me I was ready. And he gave me the confidence boost that I needed to go and try it. So we got up there, and for, you know, I sat up there contemplating, you know, the things that could happen. You know, I could break my arm or break a leg or break a few ribs. And unfortunately, with mountain bikers, we think that way and go, you know, well, okay, well, that'll take me out until next season, but it's not too bad, you know, broken arm, whatever. So after about 20 minutes of that, it was go time, and my friend took off, and I took off after him, matched his speed, and went off the drop, and it felt amazing. Being in the air, knowing that I had conquered my fear, it felt so good until I hit the ground. Both my wheels landed on the ground like they were supposed to, but I was instantly thrown to the ground over my bars because a rut had grabbed my front wheel. And being invincible, I went to go take off my helmet, went to go brush the dirt off, and went to get back up and try it again, and all of my friends were screaming, "No, don't move." That's when I knew it was bad. I looked down to see my legs sprawled to the side of me, and I could have sworn that they were laying out in front of me. I reached down to touch them, and I couldn't feel anything. In that moment, I just screamed, "Somebody tell me this isn't happening. Somebody tell me I'm not paralyzed. This can't be happening." But nobody answered me. My friends were just like, stay calm, paramedics are on their way. Paramedics arrived, and once again, the only question I had for them was, is this really happening? Am I paralyzed? And it was as if I wasn't even there. They didn't look at me. All they were concerned about was getting me on the backboard, so nobody answered my question. It was like I wasn't even talking to them. At that point, I was in such shock that I was shaking, and just nobody would tell me. I was helivacked off the mountain and brought to the closest hospital where they performed emergency surgery to fuse my spine back together. When I got to the hospital, everything from the helicopter to the hospital was a blur. It was doctor after doctor, question after question, test after test, MRIs, CAT scans, you name it, I got it. More questions, but nobody would answer my one question, which was, is this permanent? And it was just terrifying not knowing. And I remember, laying there thinking, if this is permanent, I'm gonna kill myself because I can't live like this. I'm just too active of a person, and I just can't live like this. Well, I got the answer to my question the day after surgery when a resident walked into my room, knelt down to eye level, and uttered the words that I didn't want to hear. He said, "You're never going to walk again. You don't have a chance with your injury." I immediately told him to leave the room. I got him kicked off my case. I said I didn't want to hear any more from him. But now I thank the universe every day for him, because he ignited a fire in me that, has driven me to do crazy things. I'm not gonna let that resident tell me what I'm capable of and get away with it. How dare he come into my room and say that I'm capable of this and I'm not capable of that? How dare this strange man that I didn't know try to define my life and tell me what I could and couldn't do? How dare he even come into my room? Almost a year later, you ask anybody that meets me, they'll probably tell you that I'm adventurous, passionate, fiercely determined, driven, crazy, and now most rewarding of all, inspiring. I've used my accident to enhance every part of my life. Since getting injured, I've hand cycled 25 miles for cancer. I've relearned how to swim without any flotation devices. I've learned how to surf, which isn't something that I would have ever done before. I've gotten back on a downhill bike, adaptive of course, but gone back on a downhill bike and faced trails that I once looked twice at. And most recently of all, I completed a Spartan race, which was a 5.5-mile long course with about 25 military-style obstacles. And I was able to do that with the help of a team. And my next race is November 7th at Fenway, so if anybody wants to come out and see what we're all about, feel free. But one of the amazing things is at the end of the Spartan race, I was met by an 11-year-old girl in a wheelchair and her mom, who was in tears. And her mom didn't have the words to describe how grateful she was and how blessed she was to have seen me come over the last few obstacles, because it showed her daughter that there is, life after injury, and you are still capable of doing these things. And we talked for about 20 minutes, and I explained to her that the reason I'm able to do these things is because when I got injured, I decided to take the word can't out of my vocabulary, because to me, can't isn't a word, it's a decision. So the second you say that you can't do something is the second that you decide that you're not going to try to do something. It's the second you decide that it's just not worth it and it's too impossible and you just won't give it your all. I'm not my disability, and I'm hardly disabled. I can do whatever I set my mind to. When I first got injured, I was faced with two roads. The first road was marked by sadness and sorrow and self-pity and can'ts. And it's a road that a lot of people end up taking because they don't see past what's immediately in front of them. The second road is a journey towards, self-discovery, marked by positivity and a willingness to try and cans. And I decided to take the latter road, and I couldn't be more grateful. I've achieved so much, and I've probably achieved more in the past year of my life than I have in the 24 other years that I've been living. And every day I wake up to a new challenge. Getting out of bed and putting on pants is sometimes the hardest thing that I have to do in a day. But I get to overcome that challenge, and once I do, I feel great. I get to learn something new about myself every day. I get to learn how to do something new every day. I'm given the opportunity to teach other people, how to get through things. And you all have that same choice every day, too. You can either choose to go out into the world and think that you can't achieve anything greater than you already have, or you can go out into the world and realize that you can put your mind to anything, and with enough tenacity, you can do it. Every time I've faltered and every time I've fallen, I've been given the opportunity to get back up. And it's taught me a lot about myself, and I've grown a lot from it. So, one last closing thing, and one question I have for all of you, I want you all to think really hard about it, is when faced with those two roads, what path are you going to take? Are you going to take the one that, is marked by can'ts and, not even try? Or are you going to realize your capabilities and, put forth the best effort and realize that you can achieve anything that you put your mind to? I'll make a promise to you, and I don't make promises that I can't uphold, but I promise you all that if you take can't out of your vocabulary and you exchange it for can, you can achieve anything. You can really, if you set your mind to something and believe, really believe, and really try to negate the can'ts, you can achieve it. It might take a while, but you can achieve it. I can, and I will walk again someday. And you better bet that I will walk into that hospital, find that doctor, and will probably kick him in the shins. Anyway, I just want to thank you all again for coming out, for supporting me, for supporting Matt and his family, and for supporting 33 Foundation. It really means the world to me that you guys are out here for, a cause that isn't directly related to you, or that you're not directly affected by, because it means that people like me have a chance. So thank you.
So it's really hard to beat that. Even if there's just no beating it. So I guess I'll just echo Lindsay's comments. And as she indicated, we're very, very grateful for all of you for being here, for all of you guys for returning year after year, to be able to grow this family that we're building in the 33 Foundation. And as Lindsay indicated, it is about attitude. And our attitude is bolstered by you guys and your generosity. So thank you very, very much for being here again. Can't wait to see you next year and see what advancements are made in our space and get an update from Lindsay. Thank you.